video will be addressing the concept of using Six Sigma in order to improve the process within your organization, reduce defect, and improve customer satisfaction. Six Sigma is a very well-known subject within the service and industry sectors. It's a way of understanding your system, how it works, and coming up with ways in order to improve it and reach the highest level of customer satisfaction. This Six Sigma actually uses a concept that's called DMAIC, which stands for Define, Measure, Analyze, Improve, and Control. Each of these phases has its own category and subcategory and tools. So each one has its own tools. Those tools enable you to use them in order to understand the performance of your systems. So there are so many tools, maybe above 100. You don't have to use all of them. You only choose the one that fits your process or your type of service. So today we're gonna have what we call it a dive deep into the Six Sigma methodology in order to be able to understand what Six Sigma it's all about. Okay, so we're gonna first have a brief overview of the Six Sigma itself, and then what the Six Sigma is focusing on, which is minimizing the defect and variation in the process to achieve higher quality and efficiency. And then we're going to address how the Six Sigma, understood by the common people, which is the DMAIC actually is a structured methodology within the Six Sigma for process improvement. And then we're going to have why Six Sigma or the DMAIC within Six Sigma it's important, because DMAIC provides a systematic approach for organization to identify, analyze, and improve the process, leading to the enhanced quality, reduce cost, and increase customer satisfaction. So now we're going to start with the first phase, which is the define phase. Define phase will have, of course, definition and objective. We'll establish a project goal, scope, and the goal of the project and the stakeholder expectation. And then our objective will include defining the problem, setting up measurable goals, and creating a project charter. What key activities will be involved? We'll be developing a project charter and conducting stakeholder analysis, and apply all available tools such as affinity diagram, Kano analysis, RME, etc., etc. Real world example: if you are in the, for example, production sector, let's say you have a manufacturing company and you are aiming to reduce defect rate from 5% to 2% within the next 6 months. And if you are in the service sector, let's say you have a hospital, you are seeking to decrease patient waiting time by 30% within 3 months. Now let's go second phase within the DMAIC, which is the measure phase. Now in this measure phase, you will establish baseline performance. You will collect data to quantify process performance. Your objective will be to include identifying key matrices and collecting accurate data. Now, what is your key activity would be then? You will identify key process matrices and collecting data. You will use tools like check sheet, survey, process mapping, 8 waste, takt time, sampling, MSA, which is measurement system analysis, process capability, etc., etc. Real world problem, let's say you are in the production sector. Before the DMAIC, your implementation, your defect rate was 5%. After implementation, your defect rate become 2%. And if you are in the service sector, before the DMAIC implementation, average call duration was 8 minutes. After implementation, average call duration become 6 minutes. So now we'll go for analyze phase. In the analyze phase, we will first do what? We will identify the root cause and process issues through data analysis and statistical techniques. What would be our objective? Will include understanding the process variation to determine critical factor impacting the performance of our process. Now, what's gonna be our key activities? Our key activities, first, we'll conduct a root cause analysis to identify pattern and trend in the data. Then we will apply, of course, some tools such as fishbones, Pareto analysis, control impact matrix, ANOVA, sample T, chi-square, etc., etc. Now, for real world problem, if you are a production sector, let's say you have an equipment malfunction, identify as a primary cause of defect. If you are in the sector section, let's say you are long time at checking room cleanliness issue, identify as main contributors. So you have long time and the checking room cleanliness issue, identify as main contributors to low satisfaction scores. Now we'll move to the improve phase. You defined, you collected the data, you measured it, now you analyze it, now you improve it. Now comes the time to improve that data. What you will do, you will focus on developing and implementing solutions to address root cause identified in the analysis phase. What's going to be your objective? You will include generating and testing potential solutions to improve process performance. What's going to be your key activities? First, you will generate solution through brainstorming sessions. Then you will implement selected solutions analogy such as anti-solution analysis, theory of constraint, SWOT analysis, etc., etc. Real world problem, if you are in the production sector, you will implement, for example, preventive maintenance schedule for equipment to reduce defect. If you are in the service sector, you will redesign check-in process in a hotel to streamline operation. Now we'll move to control phase, which is the last phase of the DMAIC. Your aim will be to sustain improvement made during improve phase and prevent process regression. You don't want the system to go back like it used to be. Your objective will include establish control to maintain improved process and implement monitor system. What's your key activity? Implement monitoring system to establish standard operating procedures. You will apply in that method like the tools like VMB, XBAR, R chart, MP chart, C chart, total production, maintenance, etc., etc. Real world example, if you are in the production sector, you will implement statistical process control chart to monitor defect rate. If you are in the service sector, you will develop standard operating procedure for checking procedure and training staff to maintain service quality standard. Now, for the DMAIC impact and benefit, you will have many impact and benefit really that will come out of this implementation of DMAIC. First, you will improve process efficiency and productivity. You will enhance product or service quality. You will increase customer satisfaction and loyalty, and you will reduce costs and waste will be minimized. So the best way to understand this concept, let's go for a case study that's very evidence of how this DMAIC methodology can be applied. So the real case study will be an example of a successful implementation in the production sector. Specifically in a manufacturing company that produce electronic devices. So our DMAIC implementation electronic manufacturer company will be our case here. The background will be company XYZ Electronic, a leading manufacturer of consumer electronics. What's the problem? The company is facing high defect rate in one of its flagship product, smartphone, which was affecting customer satisfaction and increase warranty claim. What's the goal? Reduce the defect rate by improving manufacturing process, thereby enhancing product quality and reducing cost. Now we'll implement the DMAIC phase by phase. First, the define phase. What's the objective? We'll define the problem. We'll have a project, scope, and a goal. Second, what will be the activities? We'll conduct meeting with cross-functional teams to identify the scope of the project and establish clear objective. Then we will develop a project charter outlining the goals, timeline, and key stakeholders. Then we go to the measure phase. In the measure phase, first, our objective will be to establish baseline performance and collect data to quantify the process performance. What's going to be our activity then? We'll collect data on defect rate, production, line downtime, and quality inspection result. Then we'll conduct process mapping to identify key processes, steps, and potential sources of defect, because we have to go on our system one step at a time to understand the system. Real world example would be like baseline defect rate. Initial defect rate in a smartphone production line was measured at 5%, resulting in significant rework and warranty claim. So data collection, then we collect data for a period of 3 months, capturing defect counts and causes at each stage of the production process. Then we go to the analyze phase. Now we have the data collected. What would be our objective? Identify root causes, of defect through data analysis. What kind of activity will be involved here? That will be, we use statistical tools such as Pareto chart, fishbone diagram, and hypothesis testing to analyze data. And this is what we call it a fishbone diagram. Then we'll conduct a root cause analysis, to prioritize factors contributing to the defect. And then we'll go for a real world example. For example, root cause analysis, we identify in that the key factors contributing to the defect, including soldering error, components, misalignment, inadequate quality control procedure, etc. And the Pareto chart, you can see this is a Pareto chart here, okay? And the Pareto chart is a very powerful tool. We can determine from that, for example, that soldering error accounts for about 70% of defect. Of course, this is just a sample, highlighting it as a primary cause area for improvement efforts. Now comes the improve phase. Now we focused that the defects where it's happening, and 70% of the defects coming off soldering errors. So now the improve phase will start. Our objective will be developing and implement solution to address the cause root, which is a soldering here, identify and analyze phase. What would be our activity? First, we'll generate potential solution through brainstorming sessions, and design of experiment. Then we'll implement selected solutions and conduct pilot tests to validate effectiveness. Real world problem will be solution, for example, implemented enhanced soldering techniques, including improved training for assembly line workers and upgraded soldering equipments. We have to do a pilot test. We'll conduct a pilot test on a sample production line, which resulted in a significant reduction in soldering related effect. Now we come to the final phase, which is the most important now. All of them are important, but this is the one that control all these 4 phases that we went through. Now to maintain them and be consistent throughout the process from this point forward till you discover something wrong, and then you start this DMAIC all over again on that particular subject. Now the control phase. As you can see, control phase, you know, it's a chart. From that's an example of a chart you can use. You have an upper limit, lower limit. You want your process to be within those limits. Anything outside, that's will raise a red flag. So you sustain improvements made during the improve phase and prevent process regression. What's the activity? You will establish and control measure and monitoring system to track process performance. Then you will implement standard operating procedure and provide ongoing training to ensure compliance. Real world example, statistical process control, SPC, implemented SPC chart to monitor defect rate and process stability in real world. Also, you can implement quality management system QMS, updated QMS documentation to reflect process improvement and ensure consistent quality standard across production line. What's going to be the result? Of course, defect rate reduction. After 6 months of the DMAIC implementation, the defect rate in the smartphone production line decreased from 5 to almost 0.5%. Cost saving, you reduce warranty claims and rework cost resulted in annual cost saving of 1.5 million. Improved customer satisfaction, you have now a higher product quality and reliability led to improved customer satisfaction rating and increased market share. So what's the conclusion? The successful implementation of DMAIC drove process improvement and achieved tangible business result. You are systematically identified and addressed root cause defect. The company was able with that to enhance product quality, to reduce cost, to ultimately improve customer satisfaction. You have to remember, in every methodology you apply or any kind of system you apply to improve the process, is going to be their challenges and pitfalls, and that's something very normal, you know, that you have to expect. You know, for example, challenges and pitfall. You will have what we call it resistant to changes from employees, especially the old timers. They don't want somebody to tell them how to run their business. Or you have a commitment from the people, but you don't have a commitment from management, which is very important because they are the ones who will dedicate the time and the money to do this kind of analysis, which will take time. And some other will be like difficulty for you to obtain information because nobody wants to cooperate, because you need a good data in order to base your analysis on. So you have to engage all employees at all levels, securing buy-in from the management, investing in data collection tool. You have then to share all this information from failed DMAIC from before project to inform future improvement and initiative. So at the end we could say DMAIC is your choice to a better process. I hope this simple explanation was enough to make you understand the concept of DMAIC and how it is very important tool. If it's used properly, it will make a big difference.